the forgotten titan, Odyne, several millennia before the events of Alexandria. Tell me, sister, how does this end without pain? A hushed, feminine voice whispered in the darkness of the night. A divine presence can be felt as two beings of great power talked. You know I don't know that, and even if I did, do you think I would hurt you like that? What you seek will destroy a deity such as yourself. Forbidden knowledge leads to more pain than it's worth. The voice of another feminine deity responded. The first deity roars in frustration. How can you not? You alone know how to translate the webs of pain. Fates be damned. The choices that have led to pain and how to avoid them. His power be fucked. You see every... Hold on. His power be fucked. You see every choice is pain and sorrow. The level it weighs on one's heart. How to avoid that pain still get the desired outcome. You and only you can. The first deity can be heard throwing things about as jars crashed. A cacophony of noise engulfed the small hut before a quick hush and a soft thud as a whimper escaped from the first deity as they collapsed in emotional turmoil. The world calms as it waits. Are you quite finished? The second voice scorned before the sound of footsteps echoed. You, of all people, should realize I can't see past a decision that anyone has yet to make. I can tell you how the pain will come, but you must make the decision to experience that pain. And then, my job is to help you understand that pain. Teach you how to deal with that pain. Or, it was supposed to be before all this. I can see the webs of fate, true. And while I understand how to read them through the use of pain, the sound of a rag splashing against water before a long pause and then some more shuffling, real pain is just choices that someone has yet to understand. I cannot read the future like some of our other brothers and sisters. While they see the futures, they are always forgetting the emotion of their pets and the most important thing that makes a choice. The one thing I, alone, am only able to see is the most likely past based on your past and current pain. You must still choose to experience its lesson. There's a long pause as the first deity simply listens quietly in the presence of the older sibling. My sister, please hear me. It's not that I do not have the desire to give you what you seek. It's that I simply cannot. You are asking me to understand a choice that you have yet to make. To understand what makes him, him. I want you to understand what you are asking. The words hung in the air as silence once again engulfed the room. I am no oracle or prophet who is given false power till they are no longer needed and discarded by their creators. Minerva, goddess of knowledge and so much more, my beautiful and wise sister, what you fail to understand is that I am the and only one who is of pain and suffering. No brother or sister can see the webs of pain. My job was to help everyone, to heal, to make sure the forces were stable. In Navarre's name, look at everything now. Before he won, he cared about things, about other gods, about the people's pain. I wondered sometimes if he even loved those who came before. But now, the second goddess continues, now I can't lift a finger to help anyone. Gods of fate are simple compared to the insanity that is in pain, and honestly, I am beyond content to let our siblings perish due to their own stupidity and callousness towards their creations. That was their choices, and when they all weep what they sow, I will not lift a finger. The air tenses as if someone raised every nerve to its highest alert status. Minerva quickly, or thought before, Minerva thought quickly before angering her sister further. Of course, my sister. I knew it wouldn't be a straightforward answer, but Minerva paused as she changed the subject. Odyne, is Yahweh really all that powerful? Please, sister. Odyne coughed a laugh back before shuffling and the sounds of chairs squeaking. We may not understand the choices we have yet to make, but that man doesn't understand any choice outside what can give him more power or strokes that ego of his. Before them, it was different. He wasn't blinded by the power he wielded. He just wanted to help his people, and eventually his greed, and now his cruelty, will kill him for it. The sound of one of the chairs squeaking fills the emptiness. You know you could. You are one of the few who is, as of now. Before you can do more, Minerva started trying to string an argument together. I will have none of that talk. Odyne tried to shut down Minerva before Minerva found a vector of attack and once again tried to persuade her sister. Won't you? Are you to tell me what he is doing is just? You wield that kind of power against him. You are one of the only people who can enter the love force. You could make him fall in love. You could do what we can't. Why won't you do what needs to be done? Minerva bursts into tears as she is overwhelmed with emotions as she screams. Once more, her emotions exploding as the thoughts force her to see every way Samuel will die in the next 3 seconds. A man she will not meet for over 4,000 years. But she knows him like the back of her hand. A name that meant absolutely nothing to her, and she knew nothing about. But when she heard that name, in that moment, she could hear a soft voice echoing around her. She had made the mistake of asking the fates for the name of her soulmate, but just the name was like a drug she couldn't handle. Her eyes flicked up as the memories flew towards the window, shattering it as it passed. Her mind forcing pain to burst forth through her mouth as a solar flare erupts from her eyes and mouth. Odyne watches the pain while not saying a word and letting the memories of a life yet live spiral into pieces before tumbling to the floor. Her sister's godly forms thrashing as she learns more about a name she wasn't even supposed to know. The air gently kissed Odyne's cheek as she felt two distinct forms of power stop time. Odyne felt time stop completely as her eyes connected with and glued on to two beings that were now before her as a conversation is had. The air grows quiet as Odyne stares at the entities before her. Her and the entities argue. As Odyne's face changes, the words spoken in a long-forgotten tongue. They argued for what would have been hours, before finally Odyne nodded slowly, removing all traces of Samut from Minerva's mind. Odyne removed a single tear of her own pain and placed it into a vial. She turns and watches as Minerva loses thousands of times of falling in love. In a breath's moment, it was torn away. Minerva bawled as she forgot her lover's name, unable to understand what she was going through. Her eyes and mouth never losing the rays of power. Odyne took a deep breath before turning as she roars, as she absorbs her sister's pain, taking all of it, as 200 million trillion joules of power blasts Odyne. The forest around them is flattened in an instant. Minerva loses her mind and a part of her power as Odyne absorbs it. Odyne feels the power starting to stop as Minerva completely falls limp, as her body and mind suppresses the knowledge she so foolishly sought. Odyne picks her sister up and gently puts her in one of the chairs. before going back to rocking in her own. After a long pause, and Odyne knowing her sister was asleep and wouldn't wake up, she finally confides in her. Do you know what he made me do? After he claimed his victory, Odyne swallowed her own pain, bursting forth as she finally got to speak to someone. Odyne's voice cracks as more tears start to fall and can almost be heard sliding down her face, and power gently wisps into puddles, highlighting in the hut exactly where Odyne was. I seeped into the primals like a violent guest, found their biggest weakness, their greatest source of pain. No one else, not a god alive, could have done what I did to them. And I gave Yahweh the blueprints. And he used them. I trusted him. Odyne's voice breaks as she controls her own pain. I am the primordial of pain. Odyne. She stops, her voice dropping as she continues. And I broke, robbed, and raped those people of everything that made them so precious. I abused my power, and an entire species was destroyed because of it. There was a long pause before Odyne smiled, wiping her tears away, and then finally she snapped her finger. Minerva came to as Odyne began asking, "Have you ever seen the tomb? Dared to walk its halls? Seen the beast in its shackles as it howls?" Minerva stopped, the sounds of her nerves shifting before she spoke again, unsure of what was happening. Of course not. None are. A moment of dawning hit Minerva. You have, haven't you? Did you speak to him? The beast, I mean. Those who are unseen gave me a tour, not knowing who I was, I assume. And as for the beast, he wasn't in a talking mood that day. Odyne can be heard taking a deep breath. The bottom floor is completely liquefied from the spell Morrigan made. Odyne pauses. What we did to them. Odyne can be heard moving to look out a window. I can never return. The blind pain Yahweh addicted me to, what I did on it, there are beings who will never forgive that kind of power abuse, and they will one day return. I chose my path a long time ago when I stepped back, sister. All I am doing is slowly awaiting my death. Trying to end the conversation before Minerva could come to sense anything. Sister, please, I must introduce you to someone. Minerva rushed excitedly, as if something had just struck her. No, sister, I must stay. Odyne can be heard standing, heading through the room. But, as always, you are more than welcome at my home. His name is Lord Vladimir Dragula. He plans, Minerva argued. No! Odyne roared before changing tactics. No, sister. I cannot return. I must endure my exile and my eventual death. You said it yourself when our siblings took their stance. This is justice for my crimes. Odyne rejected Minerva, her voice cracking under the pain as she struggled to speak. He plans to kill Yahweh, Minerva bursted before a long silence engulfs the darkness. Odyne walks back and sits down. The sound of her chair once more fills the air as she contemplates Minerva's words. Finally, Odyne's voice echoed. Take me to him.